Well, John, we were born at sea, and once again, we are going to find ourselves going across the pond. As I don't know if we say that or the Brits say that, but that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, we're going to talk to an artist that was definitely raised on radio, at least similar radio than what we are used to. And should I give the name away? Of course, it's already in the show notes, so people know we're talking to J-M Sutcliffe today of Super DB. Welcome, J-M.
Hello. Thanks for
Hey.
having me.
Yeah, great to have you here. Great to meet you in person. As I explained in my initial outreach to you, I found myself in something of a Super DB deep dive. So, for the record, the way we got introduced to your band and you was through a lover of what he calls modern West Coast. He's got a radio show called New Coast Breeze here in the States, syndicated. His name's Eric Maddox, and we just did a whole show on what we call.
We know
You know
Eric
Eric?
Maddox.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he's been in touch with us before. Yeah, yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, so
Nice
that's how
low
we found
radio voice, isn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yes,
Oh.
he does. He does. Well, and we were doing an episode on at the time what we were calling Modern Yacht. He's something of an expert on West Coast, and he brought you guys up, and so that's how I knew of you. But as I'm doing this deep dive, I'm discovering that you're much more than just West Coast influence. So I wanted to kind of start there with as you formed the band. Tell us a little bit about it. I know it's you and your twin brother and a couple other founding members, but how did this whole thing get started, and why did you pick the direction that you did?
Okay, good question. Well, I'm going to take you all the way back now. There was one of the founding members, a guy, Matt Dibble, you might have heard of. He originally brought together this group of musicians for a solo project of his, and then we had so much fun recording in the studio for his solo album that we decided to just make a band out of it and see where it would go. And our initial brief was, let's do something a bit like Daft Punk. I know it sounds crazy, but that was the original brief. And we kind of did our own thing from there, but that was the original goal. Something along the Daft Punk lines where we're doing something modern, but yet still a hark back to the old, they brought in Nathan East and Paul
Yeah.
Jackson on guitars and Nile Rodgers, and all that kind of stuff. So it was that sort of vibe. And then it quickly just became this thing that was, it was born of love, really. And just love of playing together. We were just really good mates, and that's how it started. That was probably back in, I think, I've actually got access to Google here. I could probably check, but the album
Nice. Yeah.
the album
Cheater.
that Matt did, it was called Around the Corner, and I think it was around 2013. I'm just going to fact check that real quick. Around the Corner, 2013.
Hey.
Perfect. Who needs Google?
You know, well, I did it. So then after that, probably about 2014, we started rehearsing the songs for what made the first Super DB album, which was Death by Disco, which hasn't actually officially been released, but you can find it online.
Oh, yeah, it's on Spotify here in the States.
Yeah.
So, I spun through that a couple times. So you're hearkening back to an era that I'm guessing, I didn't check your bio, but you appear to be younger than me, which means you probably didn't live through this music the late 70s the first time around. I don't know what year you were born, and even if you want to give that away, but you're hearkening back to an era, obviously, that is gone. What made you decide that you wanted to sound like you were, 1981, whatever year maybe you had in mind? And that's also the second part of the question. For each album, they have a different vibe. Did you pick a specific different target for each album and say, okay, this time we're going to do this?
I think there was a certain amount of it at the time. I mean, so we're all children of the 80s. That's not quite the case now. Now we've got a bassist was born in the late 90s, I think he was.
Oh my.
Oh,
So yeah, he's much younger than the rest of us. But yeah, initially the core members were all born in the 80s, and so we didn't necessarily live through when this stuff originally came out, but we all just fell in love with that type of music. I mean, I don't think any of us listen to modern music. It's not really on our
Is it
radar.
always around in your household or in clubs maybe you went to?
Yeah,
Or-
Dad.
Yeah.
Dad had the
Okay.
LPs.
Yeah.
Dad showed us all we heard Thriller. We thought, wow, this is like really good music. and then you find out who's on it, and then bit by bit, that guitar solo on Beat It, I thought it was a keyboard when I was a kid. I thought it was a keyboard playing that solo, and then I found out it was Eddie Van Halen years down the
There's
line.
no guitar player that could do that.
No. And then
Right.
I got into Van Halen in a big way.
Yeah.
So did my brother JP, and then there's a lot of other influences. I think we're all into classical music and jazz, so it's not just the yeah.
Well, Tom, I want to jump in really quick because you mentioned the influences. So I looked at your Spotify page where you have personalized playlists that there's JM's influences, there's JP's influences, there's the other guy's influences, but the diversity there, which I think is worth noticing, and you've already alluded to it. So on your list, we've got Jump by the Pointer Sisters, we've got Van Halen's Little Guitars, Logical Song, Somewhere Tonight by Toto, right? Beach Boys Breakaway. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Your brother has Close to the Edge, Dance the Night Away, another Van Halen, Queen, Radio Gaga, Sumahama from the Beach Boys. So you and I could be best friends, but you each have a deep cut sort of from the Beach Boys. And I don't know if that's coincidence or if there's something you want to tell us about the Beach Boys and your influence.
Okay, there is absolutely. So Matt, JP, and myself, we were in a Beach Boys tribute band for the longest time, and it was amazing, like incredible. It was the one, because I play for gigs and various things, stuff that isn't my original music, and it was the one gig I'd always say to JP, I love every song that we play. Every song that comes up, I think, I love this song. I love this song. It's not always the case if you're doing, say covers for a wedding and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I've got to play Brown Eyed Girl for the umpteenth time, whatever. But just Beach Boys. We love the Beach Boys. I mean, so
whose parts were yours when you sang?
I kind of did Carl, but
okay.
Yeah, I don't have a voice like Carl. He's got a golden
I know
tenor voice. I'm a baritone. I can't get above.
That's why I figured
notes,
maybe you were doing the Mike Love stuff, but
no, we have a friend called Ben who did the Mike Love stuff, and he was great. He's out in Dubai now. Oh, but anyway, yeah. So we had a love of Beach Boys, and that was one thing that three of us had in common in the band. Which
behind the curtain, the audience behind the curtain, we may have referenced this before, Tom. Tom and I used to when we were young kids, hang out in our basement playing Beach Boys Endless Summer, and we would just sing along with it. And we're kids. I mean, Tom's probably 6 or 7 at the time, and I'm 11 or 12. And we're fighting over who gets to be what we called the high guy, which would have been, of course, the wailing Brian Wilson.
Right.
I want to be the high guy.
At 6 or 7, I could hit it too. Not anymore.
Changed, have they?
Yeah, times changed. Well, for people, shame on them who are not as familiar with Super DB as they should be or will be after this episode. Let's give them a taste, because I think what got us into this whole mess was Eric Maddox introducing us to the song off your first album called The Best in Me. Here's a little of that for our podcast listening audience. Super smooth, as the yacht rock lovers say. So that's the last song on Death by Disco. Is there any significance to that? Because it sounds to me, again, I'm probably reading too much into it, like we're going to take what we did on this album and then we're going to explore maybe our more West Coast influences. And that's what I hear in the next album. So anything interesting about The Best in Me?
That's written by JP, that one beautiful song. The kind of song that you wish that you wrote, sort of thing, That's like, I wish I wrote that one. It's really nice. Great fun to play, very hard to play because it's such a slow tempo. You've got to really hang back. Yeah. Sorry, I'm talking like a muso right now.
No, that's what we like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess on the album after that, we did go for a bit more of a West Coast sort of sound. So Ikutsa is more down that road, I would say.
And God, he pronounced it. We didn't have to. Okay.
Yeah. Say it again, because
I think someone
Coach California, but what is it?
So it's French for listen to this. I think Matt suggested, why don't we call it listen to this? And then we sort of said, well, what does it sound like in French? Écoute ça. So it's écoute, which is to hear, and ça, this, listen to this.
Nice.
That's where it comes from. Yeah.
Give us, if you don't mind, so how does the personnel roughly shake out between you and your brother? And I know there's been multiple bass players over the years, but you're mostly lead vocals and guitars, is that right?
Yes, it tended to be everyone that wrote a song would sing their own song. So
Gotcha.
every time I'm singing, it's always one of my songs, unless I'm doubling someone in the chorus or whatever. Um, so yeah, so myself, JP, and Matt in the first two albums, we would write the songs and sing them respectively. Um, and then Matt passed away as of just after the release of that album. So it was just down to JP and myself. So as of Downtown, the only vocals you'll hear will be myself and JP. And then, where do we go from here? We'll see what happens.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Tom, that the first song that Eric sent to us, but the one that I recall, I know it's more recent, but the one that really caught my attention. So we're going to play another little clip here, and then I'll come back and ask you a question. But let's listen to a little bit. Particularly, we're going to go right from the intro of "Back to Me." So that one is built heavily on that brassy synth sound. I don't know. To me, it sounds like Prophet brass. That you can get that sound a lot of places, and so that is such a big part of that song. Now, do you guys have a studio? Do you guys go to a studio? What is your process like? What do you want to give away? I mean, are you using the real thing? Are you using VSTs, a mix of both? How do you guys like to get, because that sound, when I hear that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's that sound.
Right. Now I wish JP was here because he'd have the answer to that question, being the keyboard player. So I believe he has a multitude of keyboards at home. So we record everything from our own home studios, whether it be overdubs and stuff like that. So we don't hire a studio to do it all. I think you'd be quite surprised at how stripped back our recording setups are.
Yeah.
Just endless hours of tweaking.
Behind me, yeah, but same here.
Yeah. So it's all that kind of thing. I think he has. Okay, so you play keyboards. There's a JX 16.
There's 8P, 6P, probably 6P.
He always talks about the JX, and then of course he's got a DX7.
Yeah. So I have an 8P over
Rhodes, Whirly.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are the four keyboards. He's got the genuine article for that.
Real one. Okay.
Oh, cool. Absolutely.
And then, yeah, anything that's not that would be a VST.
Yeah.
Plug-in.
It's just such a great sound.
Awesome. I will forward that to JP because he'd have spent hours, getting everything just so.
See the who mixes the stuff? I didn't able to find a credit on that.
JP and myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question that's you can answer as you're doing most, if not all, the guitar work, correct?
I do all the guitar. Yeah.
Okay, so John and I, we've had this podcast for 6 years with most of a focus on yacht rock over the time. And one of the things that we became enamored with is the palm mute rhythm guitar, the single note, tick, tick, tick. However, we also did a whole episode last season on the genius that is Nile Rodgers, who you just mentioned. So, John, let's play a little bit of the beginning of Cool Funk and listen to JM do both of those things at the same time.
Yeah. Cool Funk with a K. Any reference to Kool and the Gang, or you just like the look of the K?
Just like the look of the K.
Right.
But, yeah.
So tell us about your influences beyond, obviously you mentioned Eddie Van Halen. I got to imagine Niall's up there, right? And who else, where do you get your influence with that single palm mute rhythm that you're so good at?
I would put, if you're talking, funk guitar, for me, the number one, the gold standard is Paul Jackson Jr. I just think his rhythm is just impeccable. Of course, there's loads of other people that can do that kind of thing and that I love also, like Steve Lukather, Michael Sembello, and so many more. But Paul Jackson, to me, if we're talking just funk guitar, that's the way it should be done for me.
I don't disagree with that. Him and David Williams, but yeah.
David Williams, yeah.
Funk, yeah.
Yeah.
What about the more strummy rhythm that you're doing? Because I see, as I thought I was going in to hear a bunch of West Coast, I thought ended up hearing more funk and kind of Kool and the Gang type of stuff, which you mentioned. But is Nile Rodgers one of your heroes as well?
Yeah, I would say he I think I just more gravitate towards being able to do that sort of thing because he's more, I don't want to sound condescending, but he's more basic. He's more like a standard player. He's like
He's
That's
got
how
his
funk
one
is
thing
done.
and he does it well, but it's
Yeah,
that one thing.
he
Yeah,
does it. That he was the original
right.
guy that did all that kind of stuff really well, and then other people took it further. So um, I hear more magic. Well, I mean, no, he's great. He's brilliant. I mean, the beginning
Oh,
of what's that one? Thinking of You, Sister Sledge.
oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I always thought the intro of that was like brilliant.
Yep.
I love the way
To
he
some
plays that.
degree, and I think I know where you're going, sort of. I don't know if I can say it right either, but the single note thing to me is a bigger challenge, and it can also be more interesting in the mix because it can kind of come and go. It can give you a little melodic. It can,
Mm,
give you a little percussion. The strummy stuff is laying down sort of the thing that you lock to, and then the listener sort of knows it's always there, and then their mind can drift off, and then you hear these little pieces of candy from the palm mute
mm,
guy that
mm.
that to me that's the hardest thing to do. I mean, I work with a lot of
It
guitar
is.
players. The hardest thing to get out of people is the understanding of how to make one of those parts. It's not just about playing in time. It's not just about playing
Mm,
in tune. It's not just about playing the root note of the chord. There's something else that goes on the way you guys shape these parts that is so fascinating to me. And I can't really describe how to do it. I just know it when I hear it.
mm. No, you're right. It is hard. I think it's definitely a dying art, isn't it? I mean, it's like
Yes.
I mean, all over the 80s, people were doing it so well. And as you
Yeah.
say, I mean, I don't hear anyone doing that kind of thing nowadays. But chords,
Hmm.
yes, there are
Hmm.
lots of people. I mean, someone like Corey Wong plays
Long.
impeccable chords.
Yeah.
But yeah, the single note stuff, I mean, he probably does it as well, but yeah,
He
it's all
does it,
very,
but it's a lot more of that pulsing on the single note and, just,
yeah, it's hard.
as opposed to moving around and giving you a melodic bit. Yeah.
Mm, yeah,
We
it's
may have
hard.
to talk about a future collab and start naming prices to get you on one of our records. I love that single note so much, and
It's
no
hard.
offense to the guitar player in August Red, it's not his thing, and if it's not your thing, it's not something you can be like, oh, I'll just try that,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely something that I practice because I know it's hard. It's like I don't want to,
yeah.
on gigs, I don't want to fail on this thing. I've got to practice it. So
There's a
I'm
lot
there
of
with the
people that
metronome.
can,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that can blaze leads, but there's not a lot of people that can do that.
I know
Yeah, yeah.
one. I know a guy by the name of J-M Sutcliffe who
Yeah.
blows a lead, and this is the
Okay.
perfect segue because I'm going to make JP wish he was on this in this interview with us because we're heaping all the praise on you. But people, podcasting listeners, check out the guitar lead in a song called "Traitor."
Yeah.
Oh,
And you
I'm
will.
proud
I'm
of that.
going to just let you speak for yourself here. Incredible. I listened to
Thank
that
you.
today. I was for I don't know fifth time this week. I was walking my dog. I'm like, man, I'm hearing Lukather in there. I'm hearing Graydon in there. I'm hearing all my heroes.
I'm hearing a little Eddie. I'm hearing
In a
some.
little Eddie Van Halen. Yes. So tell
Oh,
us that was
thank
take
you.
zero, just like Stevie.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have a story about that one.
Okay.
It's not too far from we did it in rehearsal. Someone had a Zoom mic in a rehearsal session we did, like an early recording of that. And then I just rattled that solo off. It's just not, I think one part of it I edited a little bit and changed it a bit, but most of that was what I came up with on the spot. And I listened back and I thought, that's all right, that. Yeah, I could just use that. And so I re-recorded it at home when we had, all the guide tracks done. And yeah, and then just changed a couple of bits. But most of that is just how I played it on that first day that we rehearsed. It was a really good day.
So you went and reconstructed it at home. You were able to recapture the mojo.
Yeah, I just listened to it and I thought, oh, okay,
Wow.
okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I've always been a bit of a parrot. I listen to things. I've got a good ear, so I can copy things
Yeah.
quite easily. That's the one gift I had as a kid.
I saw you went
I had to
to
work on all this, but the actual hearing I had as a kid.
Trinity College of Music. Is that you were both who went there?
Yeah, that JP and myself went there, and
And what
and
was that
Lorenzo.
like? What's Trinity? I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, so I'm curious what your experience. What was Trinity like? Is it classical school, jazz school? What's the? I don't know much about it.
So believe it or not, I'm not a jazz player, but I was on a jazz course.
Okay.
I won't bore you as to why I was on a jazz course, but I was a bit lost as a kid, and I didn't know what I was doing or where I was supposed to be. And Yeah, I thought I was applying to a guitar course, but it turned out I was applying to a classical guitar course.
Ah,
And then
yes.
I came to the interview playing some Jeff Healey with a wah wah pedal. Yeah.
Ah,
And then they said, I think you might need to go to the jazz department upstairs. So I
what
did
can
a
you give us
second
from
interview.
Mozart?
It's quite embarrassing, but
That's a
I
good
had a
story.
great time at college. A great time. A great
That's cool.
Great. Um, I was going to ask you about, so now Downtown is your most recent album. It came out in 2024. Was it late
Yes.
2024, early?
Good question. Do I
Where I was
remember?
leading with it is, when is the next one coming out, and have you started working on it yet?
So we're working on one this year, yes. The aim is to at least get a few singles out that we can put out, and then hopefully get an album ready by the tail end of this year or early next year. That's
Is
the
there
that's the
a
plan.
going back to an earlier question, a specific target that you're going after this time that you want it to sound? We're going to go like dry 70s. We're going to go synth wavy. Is there, without giving it away too much, is there a plan
Uh,
in that regard, or do you guys
I
just
know that
start
I have a
writing?
plan for
Huh?
my songs.
Oh, I see.
I've been recently yeah, just trying some stuff out to how to get a better guitar tone, and I personally want to do a lot of that one note funk stuff actually
Right.
that you were talking about. I really want to do some very produced guitar parts, not do the main guitar parts, have the synth do the chords, and I just kind of sprinkle something on top.
Okay.
That little bit, you know how in the 80s they had all these little, the guitar did loads of little bits. It didn't
Right.
have like a, this is the guitar part, it's not a rock song. It's just,
You're all the way through, right?
yeah, the keyboards do the chords and the guitar just doesn't.
The reason I keep digging into that, I'll tell you why, is because
Mm,
Tom and I have talked a lot about how technology changed through the 70s and 80s and how you can hear
mm,
each bands, each album evolve because the technology changed and the culture changed with it, and there was every
mm,
expectation that you had to sound relevant with whatever the technology was, even if that didn't really fit your music. And some people evolved well, others did not. But now that you're going back here in 2025 and say you're doing 1982, just to say, um, that since you aren't being forced by technology year after year with new product coming out and all that, how do you keep from repeating yourself? Is there thought about how do we do this different, even though there isn't that external impetus forcing us to change? We have to now decide how to evolve without evolving too much. Do you guys talk
mm.
about that?
Uh, I think it's mainly JP and myself that sort that bit out in the band. We're very much, we want it to sound, we don't want it to sound modern. If it sounds like a 70s or an 80s record, we've done our job.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll go to great pains. I'll pull up things, tracks that I think sound amazing. I'll put them in Cubase and I'll just reference it and I'll think, you know, how much reverb are we using? How much do we compress this? We don't want to over compress it because we don't want everything to be the big sausage factory when it comes to the
Right.
waveforms,
Yeah.
We
Testify.
want some of this, ups and downs, peaks and troughs. We don't want to,
Yes.
I can't stand that kind of thing.
Oh,
No.
So
thank you.
it's just the way we just work, the way we try. We keep listening intently on, tracks that we think sound great, and it's usually something early to mid 80s usually. And yeah, and we just keep going until it sounds half decent, I suppose.
It sounds
That's it.
more than half decent.
It's a lot of work. I'll tell you, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
There's a
I
song, I
know.
wish I could remember which one it is now, but maybe you'll know. There's a song that has a synth pad that I swear is right off of Biggest Part of Me by Ambrosia, which it's not in your face thing, John. You know what I'm talking about? First of all, on the
I know what
Ambrosia
you're talking
song.
about. I don't know which song you're
I don't
talking
know
about.
either. But are you using, going back to the 70s and 80s, are you specifically targeting a specific sound? You mentioned the Rhodes, right? The E Rhodes and the Whirly. So near and dear to our hearts, of course. Are there other certain
Mm.
sounds that you're saying we need to target that synth thing that was available back then, the Toto Brass, John, and bring it
Right.
into this tune?
Did you say the Toto Brass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Steve Porcara's sounds.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Oh yeah. I
Synth
think
brass #2 off the CS80, as he told us.
yes, I think that's the one we. Yeah, what was there was a track we did and JP added. It was okay. Do you remember Sun and Rain
That's
from
it.
I just heard it today.
Ikuta?
Okay.
Yes.
There's a bit at the end of that because ba, 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 ba,
That's it.
ba. And JP added that for me, and he goes, "I've got this sort of Steve Porcaro sound. Do you like this to add? Just to lift it up a bit?" And I thought, yes, and it's kind of my favorite part of the album. That actually, it's like the outro. I think it's the last song on the album. And when JP comes in and does that, it just lifts it and makes it way more Toto, and
Yeah.
that's it. I'm sold.
Absolutely.
Maybe that was the one. Yeah.
It could have been the
Yeah.
one. Yep.
And I think it was Synth Brass 2. It was 1 or 2. And I think we had to decide one. Yeah.
Well, Steve Porcaro told us that he spent, I think, weeks trying to come up with a figuring out all these synths and creating a patch, and at the end of the day, it was a preset on the keyboard that they ended up using. Wasn't that story, John?
Yeah, that's what it was. And I think it was Synth Brass 1 or 2. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask one more song that I wanted to
I've
bring
read
up just to
the
show your range and your vocabulary. Who was the bass player? Well, let's hear a little bit about. Let's hear from Party Music, and then you could come back and tell us who played bass on Party Music. John, roll him.
Hit it. All
So,
right.
who's the bass player there?
That is Lorenzo Bassignani, the original bass player.
He
Tasty.
almost had to become a bass player with a name like Bassignani, right? But he's got some
Sorry, I
funk
think I had a
chops,
connection
obviously.
problem. Yeah, the bass part on that, I actually kind of wrote it note for note, and I did a NAF version on the guitar, pitch shifted it down. I said, "Can you play this?" And I went to his house and got him to play it for me properly.
Nice.
So yeah, but I think actually Lorenzo will tell you he's not that much of a slap player, but we kind of said, "Oh, come on, you can do a bit of slap." He nailed it.
Sounds like a
great.
natural to me. Yep.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. Yeah,
Yep. Really
it's
good.
exactly what I wanted.
So does Super DB do much in the way of gigging around London, or is this more of a studio pet project?
It's both really. I mean, we've got a gig at the Pizza Express in Holborn coming up that's in summer actually. So we don't do a lot of gigging, but I'd say the majority of what we do is in the Netherlands because we've had more success over there.
Okay.
So that's the majority of that's our stomping ground. at
Did
the
you
moment.
play with I thought I saw somewhere that you supported Young Gun Silver Fox. I don't know if it was a tour or a
did.
date, but was it a tour?
Yeah, we did a couple of their Dutch tours, I think. Or was it 3 times? Yeah, we've supported them quite a bit. It's amazing because you get to piggyback off the huge venues that they play. And the facilities in those venues in the Netherlands, it's a dream to play over there. It really is.
Did you know them otherwise? I can't remember. Were they London or are they Manchester, Liverpool, something like that?
They are London. Well, I think Andy lives in Norfolk.
Okay.
And I'm not sure where Sean lives. I think he might be in London somewhere. I mean, he's American, isn't he? But I think does he live in London now?
He lives in England now. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to bribe him to do a tour in the States. I don't know how we did. I think it was just popular demand, but
Yeah, I saw that. They're going to be coming to Boston, is it?
well,
Yeah,
they were
they did
here last
Chicago.
year. They're coming back. That's
Of
good
course,
news.
yes.
I think they are. I think I saw that.
Amazing.
Well, how do we get
Amazing.
fans to bribe you to do more of what we love? So, can people get physical format? Where do they go to buy merch or support Super DB any way that you'd like them to?
It's all on our Bandcamp site, and if anyone wants to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, then you'll find us at SuperDB Band. That would be great. Yeah, check out our merch store on Bandcamp, and that would be amazing. Yeah, we can send physical copies and digital, obviously. You know what to do with that.
Our subject matter being what it is, people are still clamoring for vinyl, but CDs too. I mean, so many people want CDs these days, which is, I guess, good. It's
Well, in Europe, they do. It doesn't seem like the Americans are buying CDs anymore. They're not in our cars anymore. They don't make CD players in cars anymore. So
Mm,
the listenership on CD over here is pretty limited. But I see anytime I get requests, always from Europe. So it's still strong over there in Japan for sure.
yeah.
Cool.
My car is a CD player, but funny enough, I don't use it.
It's from 1995.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I do everything with an iPod, but
Yeah.
yeah. But I love that people still listen to LPs and CDs. It sort of makes me happy just to know that. You know.
So I see, I see a couple of strats or strat shapes over your left shoulder.
Ah,
Is
yes.
that your axe of choice of the strat style, or are you kind of
Yeah. I'm a Strat man. That's my main workhorse. That was when I was in a David Bowie tribute band. It's an SRV copy.
okay?
I did the artwork on that one. And if I
Mm.
pan over, actually, you'll see the Beach Boys guitar. There he
Ah,
is.
there he goes. Is that a Jaguar or
It
Jazzmaster?
is. Yeah, it's Fender
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Love that guitar. Yeah, so I've
Cool.
only got the three there, and then many others in cases that don't do anything.
Yeah, because you can do what you want with those, especially that sound that you're after. Definitely Strat sound.
Yeah, Strats are the way forward for me. All my favorite players are Strat people. So
Who are your favorites? Do we cover them all?
uh, Eddie, obviously,
Yeah.
Steve Lukather, Jeff Healey, and then I think moving on from there, those are the main three for me. It has to be those three. But you know, all those funk guitarists that we're talking about, so Nile and Paul
Yeah.
Jackson. I'm not sure Paul Jackson. I mean, I have seen him with a Strat, but I've seen him with all
Right.
sorts of
Yeah.
things. So I don't
What
know what.
about Jay Graydon and his hollow body though that he
Jay,
played with?
yeah, Jay Graydon, brilliant player. You know, and Ingve, I love Ingve Malmsteen,
Mm.
Oh,
Well, you'll have to
especially in
send
the
us
Alcatraz day.
your
Took me
best
off.
Ingve imitation, and we'll put that on the
Oh
pod too.
God, I can't pick that way. As much as I try, like I'm trying every day, and I just can't.
You had a progressive rock project with your brother, right? Just under Sutcliffe Brothers. I found
That's
that on
right.
Spotify.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. That's JP's really, pushing that one hard at the moment. But
Okay.
yeah, so we're definitely rock boys, JP and myself.
Well,
We like
we
to
love
hit
what you're
things
doing,
hard.
so keep doing it, Jam, and give our
Oh,
best to
thank you.
JP next time he's got to come on with you, and we'll get the all four brothers together. Gee,
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah, to add more people to the chat next time. That'd be fantastic.
absolutely. Yeah, well, give
Yeah,
us good reason. Put out that album in 2025, and we'll have you
we
back.
will.
Yeah, we'll
Keep you
push it.
posted.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right, cool. Well, all the best. We'll let you get back to the studio so you can actually get some stuff, some tracks down, send them over to
I'm going to be
JP.
making songs tonight.
Yeah. Name
No
one,
rest of the
the
week.
Dixon Brothers. One of
Oh
your songs
God.
could be the Dixon Brothers, and we'll know where it came from.
No. No. No.
All right, JM. Well,
Oh,
we
nice.
appreciate it, and best of luck to you, and we'll keep our ears and eyes open for you.
Great to chat to you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I do have one last question though, which I always
Yes.
save something for the YouTube that's not going to be on the podcast. It's
Ah.
for your bass player. So he's not by nature a slap and popper, he says, right? Is he? What kind of bass does he use? And is he a pick guy by nature?
Which bassist are you talking about
I'm not
now?
sure.
Because we've been through, are you talking about the one that was on the first two albums?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, that would be Lorenzo Bassignani. So he's a fingers guy, and I call him Mr. 16th because he's just got the tightest 16th notes ever.
Yeah.
And just,
Wow.
with his fingers, he's just perfectly in time. He's like a metronome, the guy. But he's no longer the bassist for the band. So he quit right after that second album. So yeah, I assume you're talking about Lorenzo.
Yes, I think I was. Yep.
And then on Downtown, there are two bassists on there, but none of them are Lorenzo. The main bassist on that album is Indigo Pierce, who is the newest member of the band, and he's the young chap, and he's brutal. He's a lot more sort of hard edged, but yeah, none of them play with pick.
I thought of one other question. Okay, I think it's probably the first bassist because he's so precise that I'm thinking, there's only way you're hitting those 16ths is with a pick, but I stand corrected.
Nope,
Um,
no, he's Mr. Fingers.
much, but
The name comes from the original members of the band. So there was myself, there was JP, and our surname is Sutcliffe. So there's J-M Sutcliffe, JP Sutcliffe. So that's the S for the Super. And then DB, so Matt Dibble, one of the original members. And then Lorenzo Bassignani. So it was kind of a play on our surnames, using I guess, the first character of our surnames. And that's how
gotcha.
we came up with the name. I can't remember who came up with it, but certainly wasn't me.
Really fits. I mean, it has an easy ring and easy remember, and even if it didn't connect to your names, I like the name a lot.